Oh, I tell you, it's nice to talk about the Eagles. I got to tell you, it's about time we talk about the Eagles. The season is here. In fact, we don't have any more Sundays without football, right?
Thank God.
All right. Well, let's kick this off. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Philly Fan Radio. I'm your host, John Meyer, along with Dan Palmieri. And today we're talking about training camp, maybe player positions, injuries. What the hell is happening here with the Eagles? And I'm not saying bad, but just what's going on in general. Like we stated, there's no more Sunday without football. Finally, what was it, like 25 Sundays? That's a long time, Dan.
It should be year round, I swear to God. I don't care about injuries. It should be a 52-week season.
Yeah. What they should have is two teams or two rosters per team, right? And they have the first half of the year, then the second half of the year.
The B squad.
Yeah. The B squad is for the official or unofficial off season of the Eagles.
Yeah.
I tell you, I would love that if it's happening, but I'm not sure. You know what? First of all, preseason's happening. There's 3 games, used to be 4. I would be happy with 2 games and then an extra 2 in the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like it's really only for identifying potential players. Not many starters around the league do actually start in the preseason. And if they are, it's the first game. And we're going to talk about that. Dan, first of all, let's kick this off. I know we're going to want to talk about injuries, some announcements happening with the offense, some players that are planning to retire. But here's my question to you. For training camp, everything that's in training camp, how much of it as a fan can you really take away from training camp besides, all the reports, the outside information, everything, the speculation? People are talking about this person sucks, not doing this. And I'm talking in general, not just the Eagles, but everywhere around the league. Can you really take a lot away from training camp unless you are physically there or part of the team?
I don't think so. I take everything with a grain of salt because you get these reporters that are just so over the top. I mean, you listen to WIP, and it's like 1 second, Elliott Shore-Parks is giving you like statistics. Oh, Hurts was 5 of 7 when thrown over the middle, but he didn't throw a touchdown. And, he's giving these stats. And when you look at the thing, he's not wearing a helmet. He's not wearing pads. Do you really think that he's like trying to go all out, or he's just trying to work on his mechanics? It's just, training camp, the main thing is you want to come away with no injuries. And we're seeing some things that we'll discuss with soft tissue injuries, which suck, but it could be worse. But I mean, the main part is you want to come away with no injuries, and you want to have an idea as to who's going to be the starters on the team. And thankfully, this roster was really intact. Not too many huge changes, so we kind of already know who's going to be starters. But it's about the role players and some of the new players that they brought in that I think you're starting to see how they're meshing. And I think it's funny how every year there's so much buzz around training camp mainly because there's drama. I mean, literally, we haven't had a training camp without drama in forever. And this year, it's just like so quiet. And I don't know as a fan how to react to that, because usually I'm here saying, oh, well, there was this fight or there was this tweet or whatever. And I'm just literally sitting here. I'm like, wow, that was nice. Good throw. Woo. It's like, but that's a good thing. It is a good thing that everything is calm.
Finally, though, Dan, I mean, the last couple of years there has been a storm of brewing internally. And the good news is the storm causer maker is off the team. Dan, when I think about training camp, here's a couple of things. First of all, they have the new OC. So here's the thing. They need to start getting down the new play calling, the new schema that's going to work, some of the mechanics, the timing of all the players and how they're going to do things. That's the number one thing. Number 2, I don't want to put these in specific order, but how many of these players did conditioning during the quote-unquote off-season? Because training camp, if you haven't done it, then you're not going to show up in training camp. Then you got to put through the whole ringer of doing it, and you're not really kind of that team effort. Listen, I understand off-season, it's like you're not working, but you get paid for the year. Take some time off, whatever you need to do. But there is a certain point that you need to be in shape and ready to go for training camp, not get in shape at training camp. All right. The other thing in there is I'm not worried about catches. I'm not worried about overthrows. I'm not worried about how many touchdowns. I'm not worried about how many sacks are there. I am worried about and want to see the team dynamics, how they're meshing together, how much fun they're having out there, and doing their job and what they're supposed to do. They're not running full speed. I don't care if they're pads or not, man. They are not running it. And that's what I feel training camp should be about, is bringing the team together.
No, I absolutely agree. I, you know, there's all these things that are thrown out with the statistics and all that stuff, but especially with a new OC, you want to see that cohesion. You're starting to implement completely new philosophy out there. I mean, this is a real big fundamental change as to what we've seen in years past. Well, they tell us it's a fundamental change. Under center, more motions. It's everything that we've basically been clamoring for since Steichen was the OC. So it'll be nice to see, but at the same time, there's all those dynamics that have to be worked out. And the good thing is that it seems like they're meshing together. And in the past, I've questioned at times Jalen's leadership. And I'm not talking about on the field. I'm talking about off the field stuff.
You mean when he doesn't jump in there and comment, or doesn't speculate on a couple of things of the leadership, or what we're not seeing externally versus what's happening internally?
Yeah, I think, there was just, I never knew the extent of the A.J. Brown thing, how it just really was a point of contention, but it does seem like the players could say all they want, but it does seem like they were impacted more during that negative space than what they're leading on. And I think you've seen in the offseason, Jalen took the wide receivers out, they were practicing together, whatnot. I think that's a really good step as to his progression as a leader off the field, and it'll create more trust on the field.
I feel that he handled the situation well last year, or as well as possible. The reason that I feel this is because he didn't, maybe he's still, or at some point, going to be good friends with AJ again, right down the road. Mm-hmm. And I think he didn't come out and do anything that would damage it. Now, AJ did a bunch that would damage it. Don't get me wrong. AJ totally ruined a lot of relationships in a thing. But regardless, I think he did a good job. I think this time around, and handling all the media shit, everything, everybody's calling him and talking about stats versus, wins and all that other stuff. I think he's done an excellent job. I think he's just grown and matured in the league to a point where he's still 100% focused on the Eagles, the team winning, and his teammates.
Yeah, I think he has a type of personality that can set people off, like just turn people off a little bit. I mean, he could be standoffish. But to be honest with you, it does aggravate me when he's not rah-rah getting people's face, especially when they're losing. But
you mean when he's not out there grabbing, like, come on, get this shit going, like a Tom Brady on the sideline shouting all this thing?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean,
I think that's a double-edged sword, because here's the thing. I would love that. You would love that, right? You would love it if AJ, it's not AJ, Jalen went up and picked up one of his offense, or Saquon, come on, man, or blocked or whatever it is. But at the same time, holding that composure stops it. I can't even say actually stops him from the media, because they're like, why isn't he doing that? Or if he does it, then why is he doing that?
Yeah, I think that his demeanor actually is the perfect demeanor to be the quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yep.
Because he is a very mentally strong person, and we've seen, for instance, people that come in the city and they're just not mentally strong. Bryce off. And they just can't handle it. I mean, Batula. Seriously. Yeah, it is. It's a different dynamic. I mean, I don't understand the whole concept of, Philly fans are rough. Philly fans, I understand we are, but why should we not hold the team accountable to a standard in which we think they're playing, and then voice our displeasure if we feel that they're not? I mean, do you want us to sugarcoat everything? I mean, we could be just irrelevant all the time, like the Browns, if that's what
Jets.
You want.
I mean, we could be like their fans, Carolina, however you want to do it. I mean, hell, Miami, what?
Yeah, I mean, are we supposed to not give a shit? I mean, let's face it, it's fucking cold up here most of the winter. it could be dreary. We have one thing. We have goddamn football. Well, now we got basketball, but LeBron James coming, all that hype and stuff. But this will always be an Eagle town, no matter what. And we live and die by football in this town. And if I'm pissed, I'm going to make sure that my voice is known. Now, nobody's going to give a shit, but I'll give a shit because it'll make me feel better.
Hence for this podcast, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
This is exactly what we're doing. You know what? First of all, I will not apologize for being a Philadelphia Eagles fan. Not at all. I will not apologize for how we are, how we act. I mean, some are truly dicks. I mean,
every city is. Every city.
Yes, exactly. And you've got those fans who do it and spend more on drinking and throwing their beer. We get it. Throw snowballs at Santa. We get it. Whatever it is. But I'm proud to be an Eagles fan. Dan, I'm going to switch gears a little bit. We've got a lot to talk about here on the show. First of all, I want to talk about offense, defense, I'd say special teams, but there's really not much kind of going on. I mean, we could recap that. Jake Elliott, Brandon Mann. All right, cool. Jake Elliott, he better have a great year this year and stop missing them.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that they didn't bring a veteran in to at least give a try and push him.
Put a little more competition into it.
Yeah, because I mean, Jake Elliott's had a great career with the Eagles, but that shouldn't excuse him from the fact that every time he lines up from a 40+ yard field goal, we're having to hold our breath because he's just been unreliable. Unless you're in the playoffs, he makes everything. But I mean, it's just during the regular season, you can't not have competition for him because he just. I don't know what it is, if he's in his head or, he's just getting older, but he just hasn't been a good kicker for the Eagles these last few years. And I thought they should have brought competition in for him. But otherwise, special teams, I think the one interesting thing is what are they going to do at punt returner? We saw last year you saw last year when they tried to go away from Covey and it was like nobody could catch the ball. It was fundamentals were gone.
Drops in a thing.
Yeah, and then they brought in Covey, and they were one of the better punt return teams in the league. But do they take up a roster spot with Covey when they have a pretty loaded wide receiver room? So, I mean, I would, but again...
Covey's staying. They're not releasing him this year. They've learned their thing.
I don't know about that.
No, he may not be the guy that you always talk about, the guy that you always bring up. You know what I mean?
Reliable.
Oh, yeah. He is 100%. I think his average was somewhere on 14 yards or something when his punt return. So I don't think they are because he's a dual threat. He can be a wide receiver too on the slot for it. I mean, they can get rid of Ringo for all I care.
Oh, well, yeah. I hope to God get rid of him. I don't care if he's a gunner or whatever.
So. Why do you think they get rid of Covey from a roster perspective?
I think it's a depth thing. Yeah, I do. Because, and we'll talk about the wide receivers, but I think that they have more skill players that they need to fill roster spots with. And I just think he'll be a numbers game. I think he'll be on the practice squad again. I don't agree with it. I
say the practice squad, but they're not getting rid of him.
Well, the practice squad is not exclusive. Other teams can sign him off our practice squad. So
they can, but they might. What's the designation that they can put on there or sign him to that they can't steal from the practice squad? I forget some of the thing. But anyway, I do want to step back real quick for Jake Elliott. I think with Jake Elliott, the pressure wasn't on because the Eagles were winning. It wasn't a do or die game in most cases. Or Hurts would come back and win it. There wasn't pressure for his job and his role. I do think they should have brought competition in to kind of build it, but it's a double-edged sword once again because he could get in his mind. I'm not worried about Jake Elliott. He's had his ups and downs already, but the Eagles had a down season last season from a mental perspective, so it could have been in his head too and the whole entire team. He has practiced a lot. I saw was Brandon Mann doing some trying to punt into a trash can over a training camp. Was doing pretty good there for it. So anyway, I'm not worried about special teams in general, including the punt return position. That is one of the least things that would be worried about.
Well, I'm never worried about it either until a game goes on and nobody can catch a friggin' kickoff or a punt.
Yes. You and I will be texting back and forth like, what the Can't we catch the guy? Yes.
Yeah.
That exactly. But how many times have we gone into the season for training camp and the Eagles have looked awesome on paper, and then we end up with a season like last season? While they did make the playoffs, it was just it was very vanilla. Like we understand the offense, their defense was still good.
Yeah, and I think what it goes back to is, yeah, we had that loaded roster, but as you said, the good thing about training camp is the cohesion and working out and getting that team camaraderie, because it doesn't matter what type of roster you have. We've seen rosters that are absolutely loaded that don't succeed because they need a good scheme. The number one job of a coach is to scheme his players open and play to their strengths. We haven't had a coach that does that because Kim Patullo was basically, I don't know what I'm going to do, so I'm going to hit A,
he played to their strengths.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
4 verticals?
Yeah, 4 verticals. Yeah. Pray. That was his strength.
It's whatever it is. Dan's headphones died. So we don't even know what we were talking about or ranting about anyway. So I'm just going to re-kick off a couple of things and talk about our offense. Now, we were talking about special teams, and it was only supposed to be a small bit, but then we got into the Jake Elliott, Brandon Mann, and all that other stuff and some of the competition that should have happened during it. And Dan's favorite, Keely Ringo. That's a roster spot. Should go to Britton Covey. Gotta go there. All right, Dan, offense. Let's first talk, before we get to Jalen. Lane Johnson announced that this is his last season. I know last year you speculated and this and blah, blah, blah and all in there. First of all, should you ever say that going into a season?
So it's weird because he was away from the team for like 4 days or 5 days for personal reasons. So you got to question what that's about. I don't think that he should say it, but I mean, if there's one person on this team that's got the benefit of the doubt and can pretty much do whatever the hell he wants or say what he wants, then it's Lane Johnson. I don't think it's from, obviously, I don't think it's from a physical standpoint. I just think that mentally he has some personal stuff that's going on, and, you know, it's good for him, but I wouldn't do it at the beginning of the season because it can have a negative effect. But at the same time, it can also be a rallying point to basically want to go harder or give Lane Johnson the send-off that he deserves.
All right. So I can see where it could be beneficial to the team and rally. His backup is Bell, right? Kind of jumping in there.
Who Lane says that he's one of the best young tackles that he's ever seen.
Yeah. So I've seen Bell in some of the highlights from training camp. I'm comfortable with it, but here's the thing I want to see. And you know what? We know 6 games in, 7 games in, Lane's going to go out with an ankle injury or something that, Bell's going to step in. Lane, I don't think he hasn't played a solid full 17 games in quite a while.
Yeah, and I think the one person we shouldn't forget about is they did re-sign Fred Johnson.
They did, and I feel, first of all, I feel we have some solid backups that will be starters. And in fact, I think they should start to reduce the reps for Lane in some instances, or versus teams that don't have that aggression there on defense, that Lane can take a little bit more and reserve it for the long haul, because this is his last season. And I'd hate to see him going into the playoffs sitting on the bench.
No, I agree with that. I don't know if you can keep him on like such a pitch count, but I think you probably will see some maintenance. Like, he's not going to practice certain days during the week. I mean, does he really need to practice at this point? I mean, no, they have an offensive line coach that's new and everything, but at this point, it's just Lane, go block this guy and wreck him, and that's pretty much
Lane, smack the crap out of this guy and knock him to the ground, club him.
Yeah, which he's done throughout his career, so I'm good with that.
Yeah, I mean, how much schema is there around?
Well, supposedly they're more of a zone blocking team with this guy. I don't know. I mean, cut blocks, all that stuff. The terminology is going to be different, but at the same time, I would think nothing really changes in those aspects. It's just go beat the shit out of this guy.
Yep. Get up there and don't let him hurt Jalen.
Mm-hmm.
All right, gotcha. Speaking of Jalen, there obviously the reports, training camp, everywhere. He looks quicker and faster. Dan, from what you've seen for training camp, highlights, reports, and I'm not sure you can use Elliott Shore Park's information in this because those are so, bipolar in itself.
Hmm.
But from my perspective, looking at Jalen out there, he looks thrilled. He looks like he's having fun. I think he likes the new scheme. I think he likes Sean Mannion. I think he likes what he sees. And I feel, and what I've seen is that he's under center more.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing with this offseason was buy-in. Were you going to get buy-in from Jalen, because he's so adverse to doing certain things and whatever. That was a media thing, I think. But
yeah, I think, and not to go off on a tangent, but I want to be in the media room. I want to ask some of the questions because I think half the questions the media asks are stupid. Us as a fan don't give a crap about. And that's who you should be tailoring the comments and questions to the fans, not to other news media outlets. I think, how do you feel out there? How do you like in the new schema there with Sean Mannion? Do you feel you should be under center more and you're doing great? Some of those questions should be asked.
yeah, and the questions that they do ask are sometimes so obvious or so just elementary. It's like, what do you think he's going to say?
Yeah.
It's like, Jalen, do you think the sky is blue today? Oh, yeah. Oh, great question. It's just stupid. Yeah. It really is.
I think, and I'm going to put this out there for any of the Philadelphia Eagles social media team or news outlets. If you really want a fan perspective and people to ask the right questions, poll some of the Philadelphia Eagles fans to get in there and ask some questions. Hell, give me 10 minutes with Jalen and I'll ask the stuff that the fans really want to hear and know about. We don't care if he likes the color that he's going into for Kelly Green. Hey, how do you feel about wearing the new Kelly Green thing? You know what, man? How you feeling about going into this game and kicking ass? That's the question.
Yeah, and these so-called professionals, I mean, what does it take to go up there and ask a question that basically every one of us wants to know? We want to know, how's the scheme going? How does it feel not having AJ Brown there? Obviously they're going to give fluff answers, but the worst part about it is you never see any follow-ups. It's like they just take the answer, and sometimes it's such a blanket answer. It's like, well, can you elaborate on that? And they never come back to it. And Jalen is the master. He is the master at giving an answer without giving an answer. He'll give you some bullshit that goes right around the actual answer without actually giving you the answer, and that is a skill. That is definitely a skill.
That's definitely a PR skill.
Oh, yeah.
So, Dan, we saw that Makai Lemon, who hasn't even started, that they drafted, he actually went out with a second hamstring, I can't say injury, but a little tweak or whatever it is. Are you concerned with this? And he hasn't even played a game yet, because we know that these hamstring issues last longer than they are. There's never enough rest. When he goes out there and he takes off one time, he might pop it.
With this being his second hamstring, I am concerned because soft tissue injuries are very hard to diagnose the severity of and to manage because, like you said, he could just pop it at any time. Plus, he's a rookie. He's missing reps out there. I understand it is training camp, blah, 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 blah. But this is a guy that he's never felt the speed of the NFL. So it is a completely different environment out there. And plus, he's supposed to be a value member of this offense. And how can you, with all this time he's missed, necessarily go into week one and say he's going to be our number 2 or he's going to be the number 3? I don't think you're going to, because of this injury, maybe from just a mental and physical standpoint, I don't think you're going to actually see him that much in the beginning of the year like you would think. Like, I don't think he's going to play.
Like you would hope.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see him play 80% of the snaps early on because I just don't think he's getting the reps necessary. Plus, I mean, if you listen to reports, he's not really exploding off the ball and everything, but I think that might be his hamstring too.
I think he's nursing it, taking it a little easy. Now, first of all, there should be, listen, let's save him for week 4 or 5. rest him, do all the necessary stuff. But you feel, I mean, is a hamstring, and I know we're not doctors in any aspect of this, so don't take our diagnosis or suggestion, but I feel that the players should be, this shouldn't be happening as often as it does, right? There should be steps in there. They should be going through physical training, at massage therapist, whatever it is, to actually avoid these as a receiver. But it happens so often.
It's so weird that these are the most athletic and, agile athletes in the world. And yet you see these players, they go step on the field for like 5 minutes and you're hearing about a torn ACL here, you're torn pec here, torn Achilles here. It's like these guys train nonstop all year, and like non-contact injuries, it's just crazy how easily these muscles are torn on them. It's weird that they're getting all these injuries, even though they are properly conditioned. So I don't know if there's really anything you can do about it. But it is troublesome in Makai Lemon's aspect because of the fact that we've seen hamstring injuries last several weeks, and he got the first one back in OTAs in June, beginning of June. So he came June all the way to August, and it happened again. So did it actually heal or whatever? Nobody knows, but could this be a chronic thing that happens all year, and what is the underlying cause becomes the problem here?
Yep, exactly. And we saw that Devonte Smith also had a hamstring. He did not practice. As of today's report on the 11th, he didn't practice on the 10th because are you concerned another hamstring injury?
I mean, it's always concerning from the injury standpoint, but Smith, they say it's not a long-term, it's not a worry, so I think they are playing it really cautious with him. Because he's a veteran, I think that he has that in sync with Jalen, and I'm not as worried about him as I am about Makai Lemon, to be honest with you.
Yeah, as being the number one wide receiver. And Dan, you said it all season last year, Smith is the number one, not AJ. And I agree. He has been the go-to clutch receiver, not dropping passes in the games that really matter.
Yeah, we all saw it. We all said it, that he is a number one receiver. Anybody who said that Devonte Smith isn't a true number one is crazy. I don't care about his size. I don't care about all that other crap.
Actually, he's bulked up a little bit. He put on a couple of pounds.
Yeah, I mean, but it's amazing. The knock on him was that he was small and that he was going to get injured because he's so small. And he's been one of the most durable players on the roster. So I think they said that he's only missed 4 games in his career, and one of those games was actually they were resting starters. So 3 actual games that he's been scratches for. And I mean, he is a catalyst on this offense. He's the guy that if you got 3rd and 5 or whatever, you're going to look to him first because he's going to be able to break loose and he's going to be able to catch the ball most efficiently. So I think that you'll see him a lot more this year, hopefully, on crossing routes, because I think that's where he can really excel. And he's been really relegated to go routes and hitch routes because of Kevin Patullo. And I think you're going to see him do crossers, and a natural pick, for Christ's sake, is going to happen.
What is this natural pick that you talk of?
Yeah, I don't know. Every other team but us runs it for the last 4 fucking years.
Well, we'll see about this new one. There actually has been a standout I saw in the report, and this is directly from Bleeding Green, and I follow them because I like some of the reports that go on there. Darius Cooper. So Darius has been actually one of the top wide receivers at camp, according to multiple people. Now, this is a direct quote because it's not my quote. All right. Let's see. Anyway, they kept writing his name down over and over. I think he might set a new franchise record for most catches by an Eagle player during team drills in a single practice. And first of all, I got to read the rest of this and I got to comment. It began with back-to-back good receptions, 7-on-7, then carried it 11-on-11, and blah, blah, blah. First of all, it's training camp. And I like seeing receivers and doing all the catch, but I don't think you can actually put stats in training camp. I think you're looking at player performance once again. what is this training camp? It's not regular season. They're not going full speed. If he looks freaking great at training camp, great. Transition that to on the field during game time.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to get a gauge until he goes into the preseason. But
Yep.
we saw flashes of Darius Cooper. He looked like a pretty good wide receiver last year.
Did we give him enough chance?
I don't think so.
Kevin Petula's offense. No, I don't either.
No, I think that he has more he has more talent that could be used. And I think
should be playing to the strengths of the players, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, and I think that he will be actually someone that's going to benefit from Makai Lemon not actually being able to be on the field as much, because I do see him as a potential third wide receiver. I know we got Hollywood Brown and all that stuff, but I think that Cooper could be a solid. He reminds me a lot of actually Jason Avant. He'll make the dirty catches. He has good hands. He'll go across the middle. He doesn't do anything like spectacular, but he's a reliable target. I think that he could be a guy that, can get you at least like 40 catches in the year. And I think you really want that. I think he's a good player.
According to the Eagles chart now, as of right now, and doing a research, Devonte Smith is a starter, number 1 wide receiver. Makai Lemon, we'll see, 2. Datavian Wicks, 3. Hollywood Brown, which is depth on a 4. Then you got Johnny Wilson, and I haven't even touched on the rest of the injury or did not practice report. After that, you got Britton Covey, by the way, slot returner. Then Danny Gray, Elijah Moore, some more, I don't know. Quez Watkins is still on the list, and Darius Cooper is last on the list, but I don't think he's going to stay last. I think he's going to stand out a lot more.
Well, he's getting first team reps, so the depth chart is irrelevant at this point.
Yep.
He's getting those first team reps. It's not like you're out there seeing Quez Watkins get first team reps.
Exactly. Let's talk about a little bit of the did not practice on A10. And by the way, these are all injury related, did not practice, yet they're not on the injury report. Danny Gray, which we talked about, concussion. I'm sorry you got that in training camp, man. Keyshawn, James Newby, outside linebacker, ankle. Jonathan Jones, shoulder, corner. Makai Lemon, we already mentioned. Dameon Pierce, hamstring, running back. Devonte Smith, hamstring. Johnny Wilson, which I just mentioned on the wide receiver. Now, Johnny Wilson, a.k.a. Johnny Love, and I'm not sure if he steered away from that thing. He's played well in preseason, but he doesn't get enough reps, enough time to be inserted all the time. And he had an injury last year, which I thought he was going to be great. I thought he was going to be one of the depth charts leading into that. I'm hoping he's on there for knee right now, which that I think he injured last year in the preseason game. And Cole Winooski, hamstring, safety. And, I'm not worried about that as of right now.
Yeah, Johnny Wilson's an enigma. He really is, because he has shown flashes that he could be good, but he is a little injury prone, so he hasn't seen the field as much as you'd like. But he has flashed at times. He was given opportunities in last year's camp to be on just the first team to work out with Hurts and whatnot, and he looked good, but you got to be available, especially in training camp. You got to be available, because that's how you make the roster in these positions. And right now, it looks like he might be on the outside looking in.
Yeah, I feel if he stays on this did not practice or whatever it is, he might be pushed to practice squad. He's one of those, and you said it, enigma. You just never know when if he's going to break out. He has these flashes, but it's not consistency. I want to see him maybe play 4 or 5 games, get into the regular thing. And I understand it's a roster spot, but I think at that point, by the 5th game, you're really going to know if he's going to progress or be part of the team and grow. At that point, maybe he's, somebody you can offer up on the block that, an up-and-coming team, maybe the Browns want or the Jets, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, he could be a piece, but I don't know if you're going to trade him for much. I just think he'll be a cap casualty, probably not in the first round of cuts, but probably in the second round of cuts.
Or they'll let him and then re-sign him afterwards as they start redoing some things.
Yeah, practice squad. Like you said, practice squad most likely.
All right, let's talk about defense. First of all, Jalen Carter signed his massive contract. We haven't talked about that or talked about it much. And then at the same time, he was just ranked 29th out of the top 100 players because of his big contract or because of how big. Yeah, either way, great. I mean, we've already discussed that we wouldn't pay him that much, but it is what it is, and we need to move on from it.
Yeah, I see the impact he can make. I do. But at the same time, his stats just don't back up what everyone is saying is so good. I understand he's double teamed and all this other crap, but at the same time, if he's to be an elite defensive tackle, you got to get through the double team. You just got to. I mean, people compared him to Aaron Donald coming out of college. He's nowhere close to Aaron Donald. And he is an impactful player, but to be paid the most money by a defensive tackle before the Quinnen Williams deal, which happened just last night, I think, is just, I didn't like it. I already made my opinion known on that, just because I think you tied up too much money in defensive tackle. But I'll tell you what, he better perform his ass off. He better live up to those goddamn stats in that contract.
He better live up to the contract. And in fact, this year will tell if the contract was worth it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is if he totally blows out everybody and handles his business and beats the double team and all that stuff. Dan will eat his words that his contract.
I hope I do. I really hope I do in this
That
instance.
would be great if we can, his contract was worth it on everything and going into it. It was also noted pass rusher Jonathan Greenard will likely miss all of training camp because of a pec issue. That's another soft tissue thing that you have to worry about, because while breaking a bone is very understood and the process and how long it takes, soft tissue ones tend to take a little bit more time to heal.
Yeah, and he got that not even from the field. He got it from lifting. So,
He got it, working out. I think it was before camp, right?
Yeah, because he wasn't present on OTAs. So it's another guy that he was given a heavy contract, and he was expected to come in and pretty much
like
replace
80-some million from the Packers, right?
Yeah, and he was supposed to come in and replace Jalen Phillips, and so without him, where's your pass rush? You're getting Jalix Hunt, you're getting Nolan Smith, who I've never liked, but you're getting unprovens again. So is your pass rush going to be enough to affect the passer? And I think that always goes hand in hand with the secondary, and I think we're going to have a great secondary to the point where the quarterback will have to hold the ball a little bit longer, which I think will benefit our edge rushing games. So I think our good secondary will mask that, but we need Greenard on the field, especially that kind of money, and we need him to perform.
When you say our good secondary, you're talking about our corners, right?
Yeah, because, well, nobody knows.
Keely Ringo is still listed as a corner?
I'll bet he is. I will bet he is. He could be listed as a horse's ass. I don't care.
Well, you've got Reek Woolen, Quinyon Mitchell, Jacorian Bennett, Kapanen, Gushik, whatever, Jonathan Jones, McWilliams, Keely Ringo, Ambry Thomas, and Sean Wades, in which I think you can probably knock off. I mean, keep, obviously, Reek Woolen, Quinyon Bennett, and Bennett, and like, who else? I feel we need
Jonathan Jones is a veteran piece that plays the slot, so I think you're going to see him be a backup to Coop.
Well, what was their deal with Coop?
Well, is he a safety? Is he a corner?
I don't think it has been fully determined. I think they're testing out every aspect of it. So
he's going to be a safety in base, they said. And you know how many times a base means you're going to have one wide receiver or two wide receivers and the rest are tight ends. You know how many times people run that offense anymore? Not often. Yep. So you're not going to see him in the safety that much, which I'm fine with, because I don't want him in the safety. I want him down around the line of scrimmage. I want him to play slot corner.
Oh, yeah. I want him where he can, steal the ball all the time, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think him going to safety on base is just because you want him on the field at every single moment. You don't want to have him come in just when they're running a 3 wide receiver set. So I agree with him being on the field, but at the same time, I don't like him being in a safety position because I think he's better down around the line of scrimmage.
Yep. All right, Dan, my top question for you of this podcast is, would you play starters this Saturday, August 15th, 7 p.m. against the Ravens? And if so, how long?
I would give them a series based on what they did in that series. I don't think he will.
What do you mean
but
based
I think
what they did in that series?
Well, if they go 3 and out, I wouldn't allow them to just get off the field. I would have them go another series and see how they progress. But how can you not play the starters? You got a new scheme. You got all this stuff. I don't care if Sirianni says our practices are game speed, all this other crap. They're definitely not going to play starters next week because they're doing joint practices with the Patriots. And Sirianni has never played the players when they have joint practices because he says that that's as close to a game environment as you're going to get. So, but I think that you do play them for a series this time because you need to see how they get along with Sean Mannion's scheme. I mean, would you?
I think they play a quarter.
You're going to say they'll play a whole quarter?
I think they play. And I'm going to go off of what you said. So first of all, if you go back to Andy Reid's mentality, there was always one series that they played, and it was always almost on par that they would get a touchdown in that series. He did it so often with McNabb, so often Vic, all that other stuff. Okay, so I feel that they play a quarter, and the reason that is because just like you said, if they go 3 and out in the first one, they're only going to get one more series after that. That there's the way the game goes and how long it takes for some series to happen or whatever it is. I think they're only going to get a second chance in a quarter. If they get a third chance, and I think if they start to click, you let them keep going. I understand that there's potential for injury. There's potential for injury. Look at the damn roster and the injury list now for training camp. I think you give them a chance to get some chemistry out there, and then you let the rest do it, and you won't see them the rest of preseason.
The rest of preseason? You wouldn't play them in game 3?
You're not playing any starters in game 3.
I would.
Oh, I would, but they're not doing it. When did they ever play starters in game 3?
When's the last time you can remember seeing the starters at all in preseason? They didn't play at all last year. That's why I'm saying I don't think he's going to play the starters, but he should.
Oh, I agree. He's not gonna play it, but he should. I'm 100% with you. And and you mentioned about the joint practice. First of all, with the joint practice and the starters and secondary, whatever it is, do you even do a joint practice with starters, or do you do a joint practice with the secondary who's going to play the game? Like, what? I mean, I get it. You're going to do it. It's going to be a huge controversy and some media stuff because obviously Jalen and AJ on the field, at different times, whatever it is. I hope our defense strips the ball from AJ, but he's got a lot of chip on his shoulder. So I'm thinking Quinyon against him. I would love to be up there for the joint practice.
Yeah, I think that's going to be good. I think you're going to see some yelling and shouting, and I hope to God Coop just pile drives him.
I know he rips him up and puts him to the ground. Oh, not to go off on it. There was with Henry, there was an interview that somebody asked him, when was the last time or has anybody taken you down one-on-one? And he said no. And then a flash on the screen with Coop pile driving him.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, like a dumbass. So going back to preseason, are they? Probably not. Should they? 100%. At least for an entire quarter series, solid series, maybe 2 series, whatever it is. Get the chemistry down. Go under center. Get the motion. You're not showing them stuff. You're just building off of what you did in your pretend like training camp that's never at full speed.
Yeah, you want to see fundamentals. You want to see that they are grasping the scheme and comfortable with the scheme in a live game setting. And like I said, I think if they do if they go down the field and have like a 10-play drive on their first one and they score a touchdown or a field goal, I don't think you'll see them after that. But
No, not at all.
But if they go 3 and out, then obviously what was the point of having them go on the field? And I would bring them out again. So I would play them. I don't know. I don't think he will because it's just the way Sirianni's run his game. But at the same time, think about the transition years you had. You went from Steichen to Brian Johnson, who was really kind of running the same offense. It was the same philosophy. Get rid of Brian Johnson. You got Kellen Moore, who brought his own thing, but we found out that he really ran the same philosophy. You know, he wasn't under center, that type. Then you get rid of him and we go to Patullo, we don't know what offense he was running, but he didn't run an offense, so whatever. And then
he didn't even take the same playbook. He's like, I'm going to do my own thing.
Yeah, and it worked out really well for him.
Yep.
But yeah, I think this is such a fundamental shift in their offensive philosophy to go to this whole McVay, Shanahan tree thing that I think you have to play them to see how the personnel looks under that scheme. So I would just take some shots, see how it is. I would throw over the middle because, everybody says Jalen can't throw over the middle, yet he's one of the highest rated passers when he does throw over the middle. So, I would throw it over the middle. I would just work a few kinks out to see what you need to emphasize in practices after that.
Yep. And I would start with some of the running game too.
Mm-hmm.
Please do not do run, pass out. But I would get some Saquon in there just a little bit, get him going. I think he is going to have not his 2,000-yard season, but I think he's going to have a much better one than last year, given that the OC is different, the whole scheme and everything.
No, I agree with that. I think you're going to see him closer to like 1,400, 1,500 yards.
Yep.
I don't think you're going to see that whole 4.1 yards per carry again because the only reason he got that was because he was just hitting the backfield so much.
Oh, I can't that's one of the things that, you know what? If he gets hit in the backfield going out into, let's just say week 1 a couple of times, yeah, we as fans are going to be really pissed.
Yeah. And what will be the excuse? I mean, the excuse was that they were all injured. They pretty much were all injured this past year, which is fine. But you have one of the highest paid offensive lines in football, and you need to lean on them this year. Well, you need to lean on them every year, but you need to lean on them especially this year because the one thing that's going to help Jalen go through his progressions and everything is comfortability in the pocket, especially if he's under center. Because remember, now you're going to take a 5-step drop or a 3-step drop. It's all based on timing. These are timing routes now. And if you got a guy in your face, it throws off the timing of the entire play. So then you're in scramble mode. So You're going to rely more on the rhythm of an offense rather than just hopefully you beat your guy.
Yeah, we won't go there. All right, Dan, before I wrap it up, here is what the schedule looks like. Preseason this Saturday, 8:15, 7 p.m. at the Ravens. Then we have Saturday, 8:22 at the Patriots, joint practices, and then the game, 7 p.m. And then the home game on the 28th, which is a Friday against the Bengals, which, we'll see how that goes out. The season opener happens at home against the Commanders on 9/13 at 4:25 p.m. Dan, did I miss anything?
No, but I want to get your take on this. Why the hell are we waiting from August 28th to September 13th to start the season? Why are we waiting 2 weeks? I don't like that. I want to see football, goddammit. If I'm going to watch preseason, I want to see, they're finishing the season on a Friday, right?
Yep.
Yeah, they're finishing on a Friday. I want to see some football on the following Sunday.
I'll be the same way. I'm okay if you give a week before it, but now 2 weeks before the home opener on it, I'm like, I'm not sure of the planning behind this. I'm sure they've got more behind whatever it is, but whatever, it can't change it. But yeah,
I don't like the 2 weeks.
We've waited long enough.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think what normally happens is that you have the 4 week from previous past years, whatever it is, it's been a while, whatever it is. You have 4 preseason games and then the home opener. But why not? Why is it rest period? Is it the final cut process that goes into it? Who knows?
Yeah, and I don't want to go off too long because we have been on the air for quite a bit, but I think what you're seeing is they're trying to get in the collective bargaining agreement, but everybody knows they want to go to an 18-game season. And the proposal is that you're going to have 2 buys. I want to get your take on that because I completely agree with that. I want an 18-game season, 2 preseason games, and if they got to do 2 buys, that's fine with me, but I don't agree with this whole 3 preseason game crap. I want 2, and I want a longer regular season.
All right. So everything you said there, I agree with. I think 2 preseason games, and the 2 preseason games happen, then you do a week before they do the season. The bye weeks, yes, 2 buys in there. They're going to have the roster's going to have to grow. 53-man roster will not sustain. You're probably looking more close to a 65 or a 70-man roster. The cap's got to increase for that to handle it. There's a lot of logistics in there and planning for it. But I think everybody wants it. I can't think of I guess maybe the players don't want it, but here's the thing. You're getting an extra bye week in there. You're already playing that game. If it's already built into it, you're already preseason. You're taking one away and adding it. So you're technically playing that game. You're getting an extra rest in it. And it becomes now of a logistic, a planning thing. So, and I'll take an example. In NASCAR, they gamble down to the last drop of gas before they go into it. Now you have to gamble your breaks, your bye weeks with your players, and when is a good time to do it. So everything has to be moved around, and you have to be really good at taking those chances for the bye week. So everything you say, Dan, I agree. I'm good with all of it. Sign, dotted line, and let's go.
Yeah, and I think it'll come down to the players. It's something you got to negotiate in the collective bargaining agreement, but I mean, that's something that they've been talking about for a while, but it seems like they went out of their way to mention it in the owners' meetings this offseason. So I think this might actually be the last year for a 17-game season, or next year will be the last. And then, we're going to get an 18-game season, I think, within the next 2 to 3 years.
Yep. And season ticket prices for us will go up.
Yay.
Oh, Dan, and I know we've been on this for a while, but I got another one for you. So it was said with Sean Mannion that the Tush Push is sticking around. That wasn't in the conversation in any of the owners' meetings, was it?
No, because the Eagles sucked at it.
And planned? Well, they have Kevin Patula, but they was injured.
It's going to be great, though, because once they go back to like 90, 95% doing it, I'll bet you it's going to be a topic conversation next year to ban it.
I don't think it's going to be much of a topic conversation. I think because they're like, well, what were you doing last year? Oh, because the Eagles didn't. So basically you're basing this conversation on how well one team is able to pull this off. You know what? They can shove it. In fact, they can tush push it.
No, touche, sir.
I like this. Okay, Dan, before I wrap this up, why don't you close us out?
Yeah, football season's back, ladies and gentlemen. Finally, we have a little bit lengthy to go, as we talked about. What is it, about a month? About a month to go. But
we're a month. By the time this goes out, it'll be about a month before a season opener kicks off.
Yeah, but if you're a helpless diehard like us, you're still going to watch the preseason because it's going to be live football.
Even though we're like, I ain't watching that yet, you and I will be watching it. It's Saturday. You'll be here,
Yeah, exactly. I'll be watching it more intently than most because I want to see what players are going to be on the roster. But
yep,
we made it through another off season, and this is going to be a really interesting year. We're in a transition. Are we transitioning to a pile of dog shit? Or are we transitioning into, rainbows and butterflies? I choose the second because me, as if you ever listen to me, I'm just such an eternal optimist here.
Exactly. Well, everybody, this has been the Philly Fan Radio. I'm John Meyer along with Dan Palmieri. And Dan?
Go Birds.
Go Birds.